Hello beautiful friends, it's Belinda. Today I'm here to share another project for the Cut to You design team, and this is also a project for my wedding scrapbook album series. I'm going to be using this Good Food and Wine cut file, which I have linked in the description box below for you. As soon as I saw this file, I knew that it was going to be perfect for the closing page for my wedding scrapbook album. That sentiment of good food, good wine, good friends, good times is really the perfect way to sum up our wedding day. So I've cut this out of some basil marshmallow cardstock. I wanted something that was a little bit thicker this time. And I'm actually going to use each of the O's in this sentiment and fill them with some photos. I've just randomly selected some photos that would fit well, and these were photos that were taken at our photo booth. And so I'm going to fill each of the O's with a photo, and then the rest of them I'm going to back with some coordinating patterned papers. To make it easy for myself, I have gone ahead and cut them all out on my silhouette, and that will make it easy to back them. I have also cut a little template O here, which I'm going to use to pop over the top of each of these photos and trace around so that I've got the right size oval cut out. So I'm going to do most of this backing off camera. I will show you just quickly how I'm going to use that template to cut these out, but otherwise I will back the cut file off camera because it is going to be pretty time consuming and you don't need to see that. But with that, let's hop on fast forward and see it all come together. Okay, so I'm starting off here with a zoomed in shot of how I am tracing each of these photos. So to get the sizing right for these photos, I imported them all into Photoshop along with the cut file as a JPEG, and then I did a little bit of manipulating in there to pop each photo behind one of the O's to make sure that I was sizing them correctly, because as you can see, some of them are printed, I think they're between 2.5 inches wide and maybe 3.5 inches wide, depending on who's in the photo. So with that extra O that I cut out on my silhouette, I'm just using the outside piece to pop that over the top of each of the photos and draw inside, an oval inside, using a white gel pen, because that was the only thing that was really going to show up properly on each of those photos. And then I'm grabbing my scissors and I'm cutting them down pretty rough. They don't need to be super accurate. And then I'll finish off the rest of those off camera. And also off camera, I have gone ahead and finished off backing that cut file. So as you can see, each of those O's has got a photo, and then I've chosen some complementary patterned papers to back the words good, food, wine, and friends. Now that word times was a solid fill, and I still wanted to help that pop off or help that to stand out. So as you would have seen me talk about in my intro, I have cut a shadow piece using the offset tool in my Silhouette Studio software, again with a complementary pattern paper. And with this one here, I am popping the foam tape behind the word times. So it's going to create a shadow against that offset backing piece. And then when I come back on after I finish doing all of that, you will see me pop that on there first of all, and then I think I'm going to bring it up nice and close for you. Yep, here it comes. There you go, up close so you can see that dimension there. And then so that I can put the whole thing down smoothly on my layout and have it all sitting at the same dimension or the same depth, I am adding some foam tape behind the remainder of the cut file. So what it essentially means is that the pattern paper offset on the word times will be sitting flat against my backing page, and the remainder of the cut file will be popped up a little bit on this foam tape. The foam taping did take me a little while because there were lots and lots of little fiddly pieces. So again, I did this off camera, and with the magic of editing, that's all done. I've taken all the backing pieces off, and now I tried to use my T-square ruler to line it up, But that foam tape that I've got, which is a roll I purchased from Bunnings, which is a local hardware store in Australia, it's super, 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 super sticky. So as you can see here, it got really stuck down to my T-square ruler. And as it so happened, this is one time where I managed to eyeball it and get it pretty darn close to center. Now my journaling, because this is going to be the end page of my album, the journaling is really simple. Just one strip that says, "May we all live happily ever after," and the other strip is Lee and Belinda and the date of our wedding again, which was the 4th of May 2019. And now comes the fun part of the layout, adding all of my embellishments in. So what I did was I went through some of the ephemera packs in the My Mind's Eye Bliss collection and the sticker sheets. I've got a sticker book, and I pulled out a whole bunch of smaller pieces of ephemera. My idea initially was to have lots of little bits and pieces peeking out from underneath the cut file, and then I am also going to create 2 little layered clusters in opposite corners, one in the top right and one in the top left and one on the bottom right. That floral piece that's up on the top left was left over from a previous project, and the one down on the bottom right is an ephemera piece from the little pack there. And I had a small piece of this acetate foliage left from my previous project, so I've just trimmed that down. And I think what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to build these clusters on the corners. Now that cluster on the top corner really gave me some trouble. Also, this little banner here, it says Mr. and Mrs. I really wanted to make it work, but it doesn't end up on this page. I've also got this little piece of white trim, which you can see on the bottom left there, and that is left over from my previous project as well. And I wanted to incorporate that because the previous project was my opening page and this is my closing page, so I wanted to have a little bit of cohesiveness between them. I started off sticking, this is where I'm going to really struggle with this embellishment cluster in the top left. I started off sticking the trim underneath a little word strip that said "Best Day Ever," but it just wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't look right. So I thought, hey, maybe I can try and build the cluster up a little bit more. I can add some more layers. So this particular little ephemera piece, there was just too much white border showing. So I've got my my fine scissors and I'm just fussy cutting a little bit of that out, thinking, hey, maybe I can layer that up there. But again, no, it just doesn't look right. Can't make it work. So then I thought maybe I can layer 2 word strips, one on top of the other. Still, nope, doesn't look right. In the meantime, what you've seen me do is take these 2 little bird chipboard stickers and I've adhered those to either side of my journaling. The 2 birds, I think, is a nice little way of representing the two people in a marriage at a wedding. Okay, so I'm going back up to that cluster in the top there. So I have layered a little bit of foliage and some extra florals underneath that big floral just to build that little cluster out a little bit, and that's certainly starting to take shape now. And then I had the idea of adding a little notched banner into the Best Day Ever word. Oh yeah, I tried out a few more things up there. Nope, still not working. I had this number 2. At this point, I was just pulling extra stuff out just to see if I could get something that I was happy with into that top cluster. And yeah, nothing. I don't know why. Nothing was working. I trimmed down this little, is it a chevron? Is that what we call it? A chevron piece. Again, no, still not working. I think maybe one of the reasons why I had so much trouble with it was because I have matted the entire page or the entire backing piece onto some white cardstock and added a layer of stitching around it. But then when I adhered that floral piece down, I put it right to the edge of the white border. So maybe that's what was throwing off my eye. So I tried to notch a banner into the Best Day Ever word strip and I stuffed it up. I cut too close and then had to ditch that, went back to the sticker sheets and found this already notched banner piece that also said best day ever, and it's got some gold foil in it. I laid up the trim underneath it, and then I just stuck it down. And I thought, that's it. That's going to be it. It still doesn't quite sit well to my eye, but that's it. It's done. Now I am moving on to this little bottom cluster. Because I've already built that top cluster, I've got a little bit better idea about how I want this one to come together. So I've layered an extra couple of pieces of foliage down there, and then I have another one of these little banner pieces that just says XOXO. And this little bow I had made with some jute twine, which was left over from the decor that I created. I tied it around some mason jars which had flowers in them, and I kept a roll of it because I wanted to bring it into my album. So I had tied a couple of little bows and just popped that one down in the bottom cluster there. And now I'm going to get stuck into tucking these little bits and pieces in and around my cut file. So I started off with those 2 champagne glasses. That's a little sticker. And of course that was going to go next to the word wine. If you were watching, you would have seen that I added a little bit of a foam dot behind the top of that, and then adhered it down with glue underneath the E. I also stuck a camera down on the left hand side there between the 2 words good, and again I used a little bit of foam to keep the edge out because I'm tucking them underneath the cut file and then they are sticking out above it. I'm just making sure that I've got a little bit of foam tape behind the pieces so that they don't flap around and get caught on anything in my album. I had this floral sticker which I trimmed in half, and now I'm just finding somewhere to tuck each of those pieces. One goes next to the words, the first 2 G's on the left hand side, and the other goes under the word friends. I pulled out pretty much all of the tiny little leaves and foliage pieces from the ephemera pack, and I'm going to tuck all of those in as well. I've got this little pink die cut bow which I definitely wanted to include, and I'm just going to pop that there over between the D and the F. And then I will continue just sticking bits and pieces in, filling in the gaps. I do a little bit more off camera once I had stopped recording as well, just to fill in a few of those spaces, but that will be it. I love the way that all of these little bits popping out from in and around the cut file really draw your eye around the page and add lots and lots of interest. I'm so happy with this. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Of course, there are some close-up photos coming, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.